Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I am your host Ava, and today we're diving into a heartbreaking case that has sent shockwaves through Jamaica and the online community. We're going to be talking about the tragic murder of Aneka Townsend, also known as K-Yan to family and friends, and Slickiana to her fans. She was a vibrant social media influencer whose life was cut short in a brutal fashion. Please like and subscribe to our channel as we bring you real-life stories every week. Aneka Townsend was a 35-year-old Jamaican influencer and mother who had built a massive following of over 300,000 people on Instagram. She was known for her impeccable fashion sense, her love of life, and her ability to connect with her audience. She was the typical Instagram baddie who loved to dress up and get her hair, makeup, and nails done. She was also an entrepreneur, founding a clothing business called Slick Pieces Jamaica, where she sold fashionable women's outfits. Aneka was also the official ambassador for Daylight Ibiza, a company that hosts luxury events. She had a 12-year-old son, but kept that part of her life private. Her family remembers her as a loving mother and were also her biggest supporters. Her friends remember her as selfless, energetic, supportive, and thoughtful. Aneka's story begins in Waterhouse St. Andrew, where she grew up, attending Marverley Primary School and Edith Dalton James High School. She was the second of 4 children. At the time of her death, she lived in Kingston, where she found success as an influencer. The beautiful scenery of Jamaica was often featured in her content. In July of 2022, she posted a video on Instagram of a brand new car she had bought, and just days before her death, she posted a video on TikTok showing off new apartment keys. It's clear she had big plans for the future, but those plans were tragically cut short. On the night of October 20th, 2022, Aneka traveled from Kingston to Montego Bay to meet with a 33-year-old man named Rashawn Patterson. They had reportedly met on Instagram. Patterson picked her up at 7:30 p.m., and the pair went to a restaurant in Hanover and then a guest house in St. James. It was here, in that guest house, that a horrific argument escalated, leading to Rashawn strangling Aneka and disposing of her body in the ocean. The next morning, October 21st, beachgoers discovered Aneka's partially decomposing body floating in the water in Reading, St. James. There were injuries to her head and neck. A towel covered in blood and a wig were also found with the body. Aneka was found naked, except for a single shoe. The shoe was later matched to the one in Aneka's latest Instagram post, along with tattoos up the side of one leg. A graphic video of the floating body was being circulated on social media, much to the qualms of her family, fans, and friends. Aneka's mother, Joy Smith, positively identified her body. Forensic teams determined she was murdered between 11 p.m. on the 20th and 9 a.m. on the 21st. Rashawn Patterson was named a person of interest by police on October 22nd. He was requested to turn himself in, but did not. He was eventually apprehended on November 2nd. But the story doesn't end there. It turns out that Rashawn Patterson wasn't just any man, he was a predator with a history of harming women. On November 11th, he was charged with first-degree murder in Aneka's death. He was also charged with attempted robbery from an incident that happened in 2018. The case has raised serious questions about the Jamaican justice system, with many wondering why he was not in jail. In a disturbing twist, a 47-year-old security guard, Rohan Rose, was also charged with misprision of a felony for either aiding in the crime or failing to report it immediately. Dressed in white in a casket adorned with her photographs, Aneka looked the part of a precious gem, a description used on her funeral program. Aneka's funeral saw family members openly weeping over her casket. Her mother's pain could be heard throughout the somber day and was the most heartbreaking part of the funeral.
Kaya, wake up!
During the eulogy, read by her Aunt Arlene Gregory, Townsend was remembered as a loyal friend whose generosity knew no bounds. Aneka was laid to rest 5 days before what would have been her 36th birthday. Family and friends wore red, her favorite color, to honor her. This case is a reminder that we should be careful about who we trust and that the online world can sometimes conceal a person's true nature. It is also a reminder of the devastating impact of violence against women and that justice and support for victims are crucial. Aneka's story highlights the need for reform and accountability to prevent further tragedies. Let's remember Aneka Townsend, a vibrant woman who brought joy to many. Let's honor her life by raising awareness about these kinds of issues. We extend our condolences to Aneka's family and friends. Stay tuned for commentary by DJ.
Hey everyone, DJ here. While researching this case, I had to pause because I felt the need to break down. I wish women didn't have to deal with these type of evil acts in society. Women should be able to walk down the street at any time of day or night and come home in one piece. Women should be able to go on a date and come home to their family. They shouldn't have to be scared just by existing. Some people might think Aneka put herself in harm's way, and maybe she did. But I can tell you, whatever she did or didn't do, she didn't deserve to be murdered. She could have been a family member to any one of us. The sad reality is that any woman who goes on a date is taking a chance. In order to date in today's society, you have to do some background checks. You got to do research. You basically got to be a detective because there's so many bad apples walking around and they're calling themselves men. They don't respect women. They think women are lesser than them. They think of women as objects. There are some things that women do that I don't agree with, like exposing themselves online and in public. I believe that men lose a lot more respect for women when women kind of degrade themselves by shaking their ass on social media and all of that. But a woman shaking her ass on social media is no justification for murder. Just as when men do stupid stuff, nobody says they deserve to be killed. I'm not going to fool myself in thinking that this podcast could change any man. I'm hoping that this podcast could change women and could change young men. Because once a man gets to adulthood, the habits that he formed is already instilled in him. If he's a pervert or he doesn't respect women, it's too late. Once he gets to being a man, there's no changing him. But what we can do is change the mind of boys, kids. If you're raising a boy child, teach him to respect women and make sure he has good examples in his life. Even if he doesn't have a male figure in his life, like a father. As a woman, it's your responsibility to teach him to respect women. Because as you can see, it's a big issue in the world where men are growing up and killing women. Make sure your boy child knows there's such thing as boundaries. There's such thing as when a woman say no, it's no. Grow them up to be a good man, a good person. So when they get out into society, they can have a good relationship with any woman. And ladies, remember, you're leading by example. If your son or even your daughter seeing you behave in a certain way, seeing you being abused by men, they pick up on that. That's instilled in their mind. And remember, young boys seeing their mother being abused could also make them think that that's okay. Because a lot of women, they go back with the man who abused them. And the kids, they see that. And they grow up thinking, well, maybe abusing women is a good thing. I remember when I was a kid, I think I was around 5, and I saw my father hit my mother. And I vowed that I was never going to put my hands on a woman. And I've never hit a woman. And I have no intention of ever hitting or abusing a woman. I saw my mother crying. I saw the pain. I remember going and I tried to push my father off my mother to stop him from hitting her. And I was so small. I was like 5. And he just pushed me away. And there was nothing I can do. I was helpless. I vowed I'll never be helpless ever again. I'll never allow myself to see any man hit a woman. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast. I want to help people to change their lives. So don't think that if a man abused you around your kids, don't think it's all well and fine and your son is going to grow up and everything is going to be normal and your daughter is going to grow up and everything is going to be normal. No, those things leave an impression on them for the rest of their lives. Because I know up to this day, it left an impression on me. I do think there should be more morals in this world. and women should be more conservative and more discreet. Unfortunately, that's just not how the world is. There are a lot of people that think that being half naked is okay. But being half naked only invites bad company to be around you. And eventually, those bad people are going to do something bad to you. So I implore you, think twice before you post a video on social media. Think about how that is putting you in a negative light. And if you have kids, you're not being a good role model to those kids. Don't play Russian roulette with your life by casually dating men who you don't really know. Men who think they own you just by associating with you. Men who call you the B word and treat you like you're lesser than them. It's time for women to band together and stand up for each other. I don't want this story to be entertainment. These topics that we deal with are very serious. I want this to be a catalyst for women to stop accepting the bare minimum. Stop allowing evil men to lead you. There's a lot of things that women could do to protect themselves. Do some research, do background checks, check the social media, ask around about this person, all of that. But I'm telling you, these things are important to do. But even if you do all those things, there's no guarantee that that man is going to be a good man. There's no guarantee that you won't end up like Aneka. The best thing to do is to slow down. When you meet someone, you tell them from the jump, listen, I want to move slow. And you got to have your mace. If it's legal in your state, you got to walk with a gun, unfortunately. You got to do what you got to do to protect yourself. Because you don't want to be alone with a man like Rashawn. Now, if you look at Rashawn, to most women, they would say he's tall, they would say he's handsome. And that means that Rashawn could have gotten a lot of different types of women. He wouldn't have any problems finding a woman to be with. But instead of dating a woman and respecting her and living an honorable life and a respectable life, Rashawn decided that he would go around abusing women and ultimately killing them. So he took away the life of a beautiful woman, and then he threw away his whole life. For what? For nothing. Because he got upset in the moment? Because maybe he planned it? People don't just up and just kill people just like that. That gotta be in you. You gotta be capable of doing something like that before it even happened. And Rashawn had a history of abusing women. And this time, he took it too far. And he took away the life of someone who was beloved by a lot of people. Whenever he's convicted, he's gonna sit in an 8x6 cell for a very long time. I hope he don't ever come out. Because there's no excuse for a man murdering a woman. There's none. 9.9 out of 10 times, the man is the aggressor. The man is the violent one. So women, please protect yourself. Aneka was an influencer. And being an influencer means you're online, you have a lot of followers, and the things that you do influence those people to do the same thing. But once you're an influencer and you have a lot of people following you, you get a lot of enemies. You get a lot of men who want to take advantage of you. You get a lot of men who obsess about you, and they're planning and they're plotting to do things to you that nobody should be thinking of doing to anyone. If you're a woman today in society, just by being a woman, you're in danger. But if you're an influencer, the danger goes up 100%. That's not a job anyone should want. If I had a daughter and she wanted to be an influencer, I would tell her, hell no. I would not support her doing that. I don't care if she was a teenager or if she was an adult. I don't care. I would not support it because I know the danger that comes in being an influencer. Aneka wasn't the first influencer that was killed in this way. There were many. They went on a date with someone who was obsessed with them, and that person ended up killing them. So let me tell you a little bit about Rashawn Patterson. Rashawn was charged many years ago with kidnapping, rape, and false imprisonment. And the case was thrown out because the witness, the woman he raped and then tried to kill, she survived and she went to the cops. And the cops arrested him and the case was supposed to go to trial. But when it was time for the case to go to trial, the victim could not be found. And that's how Rashawn got off of that charge. And when that incident happened, people said that he was a good man and the police had the wrong person and the witness statement wasn't right. And many excuses for this guy. And now, many years later, he's caught again. This time, he's not going to get away. This time, the police have all the evidence to convict him. And so when you look back at that first case, you would know that he was guilty of that. He's a predator. And if Aneka had taken a moment to do some research on this guy, she would have found out about his previous case. And she would have not gone out with him. That's why I always implore women to do some basic research. Go on social media, see what this guy's posting, see what he's liking. Ask somebody in the neighborhood about him. Stop just going out with guys and not knowing anything about them. because you're putting your life at risk. Remember, men don't have to be worried about women killing them and raping them. It's women have to worry about that. And when you're in the limelight, when you're an influencer, when you're online showing off your body, you're inviting the bad actors to see you, to seek you out, and to do harm to you. So when you look at Rashawn, you look at his picture, most women would say he's a handsome guy, he's a tall guy, and a lot of them would jump for a chance to go on a date with him. But let me tell you something. Stop looking only at the outside of somebody. Try to figure out what's on the inside, what's in their heart, what's in their mind, what's their history. Have they been arrested? Have they ever raped somebody? Do they respect women? These are the questions you need to be finding out before you end up alone with somebody like that. Because once those kind of people get you alone, it's a wrap. You don't want to be caught floating in a river, deceased. You want to be alive with your family and your friends. You want to be amongst good people. So before you jump at the opportunity to look at somebody and judge them as good because they might be handsome, take time to slow down and find out who they really are. I know influencers are motivated by making a lot of money. But let me tell you this. When you're 6 feet under, there's no shops. There's no pretty clothes and nice makeup in a cemetery. There's no laughing and hugs and walks on the beach when you're 6 feet in the dirt. My point is, it's not worth the risk. Some jobs, it ain't worth it. Doesn't matter how much money you think you're making. And let me tell you something. All attention is not good attention. Just like all money is not good money. If you have to sacrifice your self-respect and self-worth to get money, in the long run, it wouldn't be worth it. I'm saddened by this case, and I feel for the family. If you have a friend or family member and they're going out on a date, just remind them to be careful because there are a lot of bad men out there. Share your location. Be in touch before the date, after the date, and most importantly, do some research before you even go on a date with that person. If you see anything untoward, think twice about going on a date with someone like that. Before I go, I want to say thank you to all the subscribers of this channel. I appreciate everyone, and I know you share in the pain, but we got to do something. We got to make a change. And if you have male family members who disrespect women, call them out. Tell them that's not the way to behave. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Don't be afraid to stand up for your sister and your aunt and your mother and your daughter. That's it for this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one.